This is Super Yacht News with Sisman. Hi, welcome back to the channel. So we have breaking news, and that is that motor yacht Amadea is now flying a US flag. So let that sink in for a minute. A Russian-owned super yacht is now flying the flag of the USA. So the captain and crew actually disembarked on the 27th of May. So if you'll remember the timeline, there was an appeal that went to the appeal court, which was rejected. A stay was placed, a 7-day stay was placed on on the vessel leaving Fiji for that 7 days. However, during that 7 days, the vessel was boarded by the US officials and their substitute crew, and the crew of Amadea were disembarked. So this is quite remarkable to me. This is how the captain received the news that he had lost, effectively, his $350 million super yacht. A text message from the Senior Superintendent of Police in Fiji. Captain John, the DPP, that's the prosecutors, has advised that the appeal was not successful and for the current crews to disembark and allow the American crews to board. The yacht will remain under the Fijian authorities for the next 7 days. Thank you, SSP Neiko. So the captain, on receiving this message, informs the crew to prepare to disembark the vessel. This is around 2:30 in the afternoon, or 14:30 hours. When a crew leaves and the other crew comes on, there's a handover. It's normally quite a long handover, and it's not done all at one time. Usually, obviously, you have your captain goes on leave, you have the other captain comes on, they hand over. Usually they have a few hours, like an afternoon, to sit and talk about any issues, and then the captain signs the captain's log over to the replacement captain. In this situation, the entire crew's leaving, so they have a handover period. So what happens is all of non-essential crew disembark pretty much immediately after the normal immigration and bag search and stuff like that. The core crew stay on board, and that includes the captain, chief officer, chief engineer, ETO, first engineer, second officer, and head of security. Just before the substitute crew arrived on board, the captain went to his cabin and wrote in the captain's log, "On this date and time, 1600 hours on the 27th of May 2022, US authorities boarded Amadea and instructed crew and captain to depart the yacht." So a crew of 24 arrived on board, with US Marshals being first on and other US government personnel. So the captain was introduced to the substitute captain, and he recognized him as a past captain of Amadea. So the captain that came on with the US government to sail the vessel out of the country was actually an ex-employee of that vessel. So obviously very cleverly done, because he obviously knows the vessel. He says, "It became clear to me that he had been recruited by the US authorities to sail the vessel out of Fiji waters." So like I said, there's a handover period, and this is where they discuss the vessel, any potential issues with the vessel they may have, and then they hand over any pertinent equipment like phones, ship's phone, radios, keys, etc., etc. That's obviously each person in each department. So the ETO, the captain, the ETO, the chief engineer, everybody's doing a handover with their opposite. So the usual procedure, though, of signing over to the new captain was not carried out, and that's because the disembarking captain was told to not do that for legal reasons. So he did not sign over. He said he apologized to the other captain coming on and said, "I wouldn't be doing that." So the captain commented, "What I can comment on is their professionalism. It was clear the majority were all from a yachting background and had been clearly briefed on what their immediate tasks were once on board. It looked what I believe to be an experienced crew. It is now clear to me that all necessary preparations have been made and we're ongoing for an efficient departure from Amadea from Fiji waters. Amadea's status has been clearly studied and pertinent points, topics and issues were known, understood and had measure already in place for imminent departure out of Fiji waters. One of the things that was interesting to me, because it's something that I'm normally involved in, is they said that the VSAT, which is the internet service on board, had stopped. And this was because, and there were other issues as well, which I read about, things that hadn't been, like the charts on the bridge were not up to date. And this was because as soon as the vessel was arrested, the companies that provide that service, the internet, chart updates, etc., etc., they all refused to do business with the vessel. And this is because of the sanctions, right? So any company is not allowed to offer technical expertise or assistance to any vessel that is under sanctions. The captain says, I waited for the Amadea chief engineer, he says his name, but I'll leave the names out, to complete his safety status handover with the new chief engineer. At 17:18 on the evening of the 27th of May 2022, I and the chief engineer departed Amadea. As far as I know, the majority of the crew, all but those ones that were left to do the handover, I believe, they're already gone home. They're already back in their home, wherever they may be, whichever country they may be. So where does that leave us? There is one final court date, which is today, or well, it's today. It's the 7th of June. I'm obviously filming this the evening of the 6th of June, but if you're in Fiji, it's already the 7th of June, right? So a few hours from now, what could be the final decision will be made. The defense attorney, Mr. Haniff, is put in for a further stay so we can launch an appeal. But the Supreme Court is going to make a judgment on that today. If they reject it, I have a feeling, based on what I've read and what I've just read out to you, I have a feeling that the moment they say it's rejected, assuming it is rejected, that vessel will probably already have its engines running. And the moment they say they get the call, it's been rejected, then that vessel is leaving Fiji immediately. So anyway, we'll find out in a few hours. So stay tuned to the channel. I will be putting out another video tomorrow to tell you what happens, and we'll talk about what happens next. But yeah, well, that's quite incredible. Reading the events here of how it happened and how the captain was effectively told by a text message that he'd lost his vessel. That was quite shocking to me, just because I work in the industry and you know, I can just imagine the scenes on board. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, as soon as I know more, which will be tomorrow, I will make another video. So stay tuned, and I'll give you all the updates when I get them. All right, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to like the video. If you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell for future notifications of future videos. Also, one other thing, if you were crew on board and you're now back in the UK or back in whichever country you live in, please be sure to get in touch. Be very interested to talk to you. Obviously, completely anonymous, you know, confidentiality. That will be very interesting to talk to somebody who's actually been on board. If you're not from Amadea and you've got news for any other stories, please be sure to get in touch in the normal way through the About page of YouTube, Facebook Messenger, and you can now get me on Instagram again. My issues with Instagram have been dealt with, and I'm now posting on Instagram again, so that's great. So if you want to contact me through Instagram, you can do that. All right, I'll leave it there. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye-bye.